For decades, werewolves have been a cornerstone of horror cinema, from the tragic curse of the wolfman, 1941, to the grotesque body horror of an American werewolf in London, 1981. In 2025, director Lee Hwanel, known for his ability to modernize classic horror with The Invisible Man, 2020, attempts to do the same with Wolfman, a psychological horror film that prioritizes slow-burning terror over action-packed spectacle. But does this fresh take successfully reinvent the werewolf mythos, or does it stray too far from what fans expect? A dark and psychological reimagining. Unlike traditional werewolf films that lean into violent transformations and monstrous rampages, Wolfman is a subtler, more introspective film. It follows Blake, Christopher Abbott, and Charlotte, Julia Garner, a married couple who move to rural Oregon for a fresh start, only to find themselves trapped in a nightmarish transformation neither of them can escape. After Blake is attacked in the woods by an unseen creature, he begins to change. But unlike the immediate and grotesque werewolf metamorphoses of the past, his transformation is gradual and psychological. His aggression increases, his senses sharpen, and his grip on reality begins to slip. The horror lies not in the jump scares or sudden mutations, but in the slow erosion of Blake's humanity. This decision to delay the full transformation is a bold one. Hwanel doesn't just create a monster, he creates a man unraveling, making the audience question, is Blake truly becoming a beast, or was he always one deep down? The film's climax pays homage to classic werewolf lore but adds a modern twist, shifting the focus from external horror to internal suffering. It's a film about loss, identity, and the inevitability of change, wrapped in the aesthetic of neo-horror minimalism. At the heart of Wolfman is Christopher Abbott, delivering a performance that is both raw and unnerving. Unlike previous portrayals of the cursed werewolf, Abbott's Blake is a man already at war with internal demons before his transformation even begins. His descent into animalistic rage is more than just supernatural horror, it's a reflection of his fractured psyche. Julia Garner's Charlotte is equally compelling. She is not a damsel in distress, nor is she simply a bystander to Blake's changes. Instead, she actively investigates his unraveling, fights for their marriage, and ultimately faces an impossible decision. Her performance adds a layer of tragedy to the film, reinforcing the idea that Blake's transformation doesn't just affect him, it consumes everything around him. The film's character-driven approach is both its greatest strength and biggest risk. While it elevates Wolfman above generic monster horror, it may alienate those expecting a more traditional werewolf narrative. Visually, Wolfman is a masterclass in atmospheric tension. Hwanel's collaborator, cinematographer Stefan Duccio, crafts a world that is both hauntingly beautiful and deeply unsettling. The Oregon wilderness feels isolating and oppressive, reflecting Blake's increasing detachment from humanity. Fog-drenched forests, dimly lit interiors, and lingering camera shots create a sense of impending dread, making the horror feel inescapable rather than sudden. The werewolf transformation itself is unlike anything seen before. Rather than a single, dramatic metamorphosis, it is drawn out over the film, making the changes feel organic and disturbing. Yet, not all fans are on board with this minimalist approach. Unlike an American Werewolf in London, which embraced visceral body horror, Wolfman keeps much of its creature design shrouded in darkness. Some viewers find this effective in maintaining suspense, while others feel it robs the film of a truly iconic monster moment. A film like Wolfman thrives on sound design, and Benjamin Wallfish's score delivers a deeply unsettling auditory experience. The low, guttural growls that echo in the distance create a primal unease, making the audience feel the presence of the beast even when it's unseen. The sound of bones cracking and shifting during Blake's transformation is subtly mixed into the background, making every moment of his mutation feel painfully real. The silence before major horror moments is just as effective as the screams and howls, forcing the audience to sit in uncomfortable anticipation. Wallfish's score blends orchestral dread with synth-driven tension, much like his work on it, 2017, giving Wolfman an atmospheric and modern edge. The werewolf genre has a long and varied history, and Wolfman takes a bold departure from its predecessors. Unlike the Wolfman, 1941, which painted the werewolf as a tragic but supernatural curse, this version leans into psychological horror and realism. Unlike An American Werewolf in London, which balanced dark comedy with body horror, Wolfman is deadly serious, making the transformation feel more painful than grotesque. Unlike the Wolfman, 2010, which was criticized for CGI-heavy effects, Wolfman uses practical effects blended with subtle digital enhancements, creating a more grounded aesthetic. Overall, Wolfman feels like a more mature, introspective horror film, but its departure from traditional monster tropes means it won't satisfy everyone. Wolfman has divided audiences in ways that few modern horror films have. Critics praise its atmospheric horror, strong performances, and psychological depth. Some horror fans, however, feel disappointed by the lack of visceral werewolf action. The film's box office performance has been underwhelming, earning $32.2 million worldwide, likely due to marketing that failed to emphasize its horror elements. This raises a question: did audiences expect a different kind of werewolf film? The slow burn nature of Wolfman means it may find a second life on streaming platforms, where viewers seeking deeper horror experiences can appreciate it fully. Does Wolfman successfully modernize the werewolf genre? Yes and no. For fans of slow burn horror, deep character studies, and psychological tension, Wolfman is an engaging and immersive experience. But for those expecting fast-paced action and traditional monster thrills, this version may feel too restrained. A gripping and artistic take on a classic monster, but one that may not satisfy all horror fans. So the final question is, does Wolfman deserve a sequel, or is this a one-time horror experiment that should stand alone?
So horrific.